Okay, this is an example of restricted stock units and forfeitures when we account for them as they occur, as opposed to if we estimate them as estimate forfeitures. Let's take a look. On January 1, 2027, VJ Communications granted restricted stock units, what they call RSUs, representing 35 million of its $1 par common stock to executives, subject to forfeiture if employment is terminated within 3 years. After the recipients of the RSUs satisfy the vesting requirement, the company will distribute the shares. Note, the common shares had a market price of $15 per share on the grant date. At the date of the grant, VJ anticipated that 5% of the recipients would leave the firm prior to vesting. On January 1, 2028, 4% of the RSUs are forfeited due to executive turnover. VJ chooses the option to account for forfeitures when they actually occur. So let's write that in here. Accounting for forfeitures when they occur. That's what we're talking about here. So we are to prepare the appropriate journal entries, and we'll put the account here and the debits here and the credits here, and we'll make it nice and fancy here like this. So what we need to do first is the total compensation, and that's going to be the number of shares, 35 million. I can do that we want to do it in numbers like this. And the value at grant date is $15 per share. So we multiply the 35 million times $15 and we get 525 million. And these are going to be earned over the course of 3 years, 27, 28, and 29. And so we'll take that divided by number of years. Of course, you have to break it down into months if you had partial years. And we get a comp expense per year. The original estimate is going to be the 525 divided by 3, 175 million. So at the end of the first year, on the date of grant, we have no entry. We make no entry on January 1st of 2027 because they haven't actually worked yet. But we do make an adjusting entry at the end of 2027 for compensation expense, and that's going to be equal to this 175 million here. And we're going to have paid in capital restricted stock, and that's going to be equal to a credit. And this is to adjust for stock options, restricted stock earned, restricted stock earned in 2027 by employees. Okay, now at the end of 12/31/28, it says on January 1st of 28. Notice that we haven't closed the books for 27 yet, but we didn't know on 12/31, the day before, we didn't know that these people were going to forfeit. But 4% of the 35 million actually forfeit on that date. And so what we have is the 525 million total comp, 525 million, that's the equal to this number up here, times the portion remaining, which is going to be equal to 1 minus 0.04, because 4% forfeited on that day. And we're going to get some 96% is the part that's remaining, equals total revised total compensation. The 525 million times 96%, 504 million. And then we divide that by, divided by years, 3 equals comp per year. Time divided by 3. 168 million is the revised comp per year, times years to date. Because we're at 12/31/28, we're making an adjusting entry, and that's 2 years to date. So total compensation to date is going to be equal to 168 times 2, 336 million, less previously recognized. And that's going to be equal to this 175 million right here. And that's going to give us 20 equals 2028 comp expense equals the 336 minus the 175, or 161 million. And I'm going to take all of this, copy it down here because I'm lazy. I'm going to change this to adjust for restricted stock in 2028, earned in 2028. And that's going to be equal to the 161 million here. And we have a credit there. Now what happens in 29? 12/31/29, we're going to have the same journal entries over here. It's now going to be for 29. But how much is it going to be? Well, the total compensation revised is equal to the 504 million, less comp to 12/31/28 is going to be equal to this, the 336 million, equals 2029 compensation, equals this minus 668 million, which is the compensation per year that we estimated. So it's going to be equal to this 168 million, and there you have the appropriate journal entries to record compensation expense for 27, 28, and 29.